Kalimera and a good morning to you. Back there in the UK, it's JC here in the glorious sunshine of Cyprus, and I'm having a ball. This is the 10 o'clock news from the EV Café. Now, you may or may not be able to see me. I understand you can hear me, and that's really all you need. I'm better that way. This is the 10 o'clock news from the EV Café, brought to you this week by Geotab, the world's favourite telematics company, bringing insights to deliver more and safe transport. Today I'm joined by Sam and Pablo to grab a cuppa and plug in for the latest in clean transport and sustainability news, because today we'll be talking about EcoBat, innovation in battery recycling and reuse. Use batteries in the northeast. New EV values aren't always at full retail these days. Range Rover Velar is to become an EV. That's exciting stuff. And achieve 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour. And Weave, and the 5 capitals in 5 days EV rally in July. So I doff my hat to you, the hat that is keeping my little models from naughty cells. Now then, EcoBat Solution confirmed the opening of an on-site EV charging facility for staff and visitors. And the power for chargers comes from an unexpected source. The Darlaston-based company employs over 85 staff in the UK alone, and its EV Battery Diagnosis and Disassembly Centre opened in January 2021 and has already repaired, re-engineered or recycled more than 5,500 batteries in partnership with vehicle and equipment manufacturers. EcoBat collects EV batteries, including end-of-life, damaged, defective and critical units, from all around the UK, and once on site, the batteries are analysed for state of health and discharged prior to re-engineering or recycling. The power from this discharging process is entirely captured and deployed within the facility, including the new EV charging points. Isn't that clever? I like that. But a separate but related story on repurposed batteries. North Tyneside Council in the northeast of England has embarked on a new project that repurposes batteries from old electric vehicles to power the EVs of the future. The council, supported by the European Regional Development Fund, is revitalising its Killingworth site depot in a multi-million-pound initiative aimed at ensuring sustainability and energy efficiency. The depot, which accommodates approximately 1,000 council staff and partners, have already incorporated a solar PV array and carports that generate 700 kilowatts at peak and produce around 600,000 kilowatt hours of electricity annually. The council is also installing more than 40 EV chargers, which plans to transition a significant portion of its fleet to EVs over the next few years. To address the issue of excess energy generated during daylight hours, which was being returned to the grid, the council sought a solution from Connected Energy, a local company based in Newcastle. And Connected Energy have developed a battery energy storage system called eStore, which utilises batteries from end-of-life EVs, offering them a second life. The bottom line of all this is that this isn't particularly new, but what it's showing is second life of batteries and generating a virtuous circle of renewable energy created, stored and used is an ecosystem which My Energy provide, which GridServe provide, and is being more widely adopted. It's good news, Sam, in terms of energy generation, storage and use, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, John. And you are just about legible, by the way. So if we need to cut you off and take over, we're going to have to do it. But I think you're just about okay at the moment. But yeah, no, these are really good stories. And I think, as you say, it's nothing new. But at the same time, what it does do is demonstrate businesses out there making a commercial play at re-engineering, recycling, repurposing, redistributing energy and recycled batteries, which just busts another myth, doesn't it? You know, it just shows that these things don't go into landfill, they are repurposed, they are recycled, and then they're reused and gone again. So it's great that these stories are out there, and it just kills just another myth, really. And far better to, like, as I've always said, it's far better to see companies doing it and demonstrating they're doing it rather than talking about doing something, and therefore it covers a lot more gravitas. So they're great news stories. I think it's just fantastic, and hopefully there'll be more of it, because there are going to be more batteries that need repurposing and recycling. So hopefully more companies come along and do the same thing. So I think it's all positive.
And Paul, this is something we hear a lot, Paul, isn't it, when we speak to clients and customers, that people worry about, batteries are created, they're put into cars, they ultimately become useless. They're not useless by any stretch of the imagination. And there is this whole second life.
Absolutely, and I think we've talked about this, and as we get older, are we useless? No, we're not. We have a second life, yes, and that's all good news. I mean, I was at a concert this week, which I was very excited about, and it was really a really good example of somebody trying to do something more sustainably. So I went to Coldplay. They have battery power to power some of their operations, which is brilliant. And what I like about this story is it demonstrates that we are not just about electric cars and only that. It is a new ecosystem that is coming to us to make a difference at every level. And it isn't, we need to think more broadly than just a battery in a car or battery in a van or battery in a truck. This is a new ecosystem that is going to go on way beyond the life of just the car, van or truck.
Quite right. Now then, let's say hello to a few people. Richard Hill, Michael Barton, greetings. Neil Ponting, Ike Glusky, Brent Oldfield from Guernsey, another islander. Greetings to you, sir. Leon Gomez, hi Leon, you're always here, bless you. Michael Anderson, Bernd Herman, good name. Good Morgan from Sheffield. Oh, that was disappointing. Steve Hamer, hello Steve. Dennis Kurilov, Philip Not Hard. Philip, bless your heart. Haven't you got the world to save? Go and do some wonderful work. Ian Bradley. Who else we got? Mark Wynn. Hello, Mark. Fabulous. Thank you for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. Now then, let's move on.
John, your internet is drastically improved when you took your hat off. So if you have a problem with the internet again, please can you remove your hat?
Take it back off.
And that'll solve the problem.
How rude. How rude. Tesla price cuts. The arrival of new manufacturers from China and an increase in production are resulting in fleets starting to see discounts on new electric vehicle orders. That's according to Mike Potter, Chief Executive Officer of Drive Electric, who told delegates at the Association of Fleet Professionals conference in 2023 that it was a sign that EVs are becoming a normal part of the fleet market, as well as the sector seeing a return to something a little closer to traditional market conditions. He said, we're not talking about massive discounts, but the time when all EVs were sold at list price appears to have passed, at least for the time being, he said. The moves made by Tesla appear to be, to us, to be designed to try to prompt some kind of price realignment in the EV market. And to some extent, that's worked, although it's arguably had a negative effect in terms of setting future residual values. Certainly others have had to look at their own sales to fleets and whether incentives need to be introduced. And the likes of MG and BYD coming in from the Chinese market are also providing an entry level, a midpoint where, keen prices, good build quality, looking good. It's an exciting time to be in the industry, Paul. Are you seeing the same sort of thing in the commercial vehicle world?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I mean, I've been talking to one manufacturer, one importer of vehicles that are going to be coming with a vehicle at a very cost competitive price. It will have a limited use, but what I am seeing is that the cost of ownership for some commercial vehicles is coming down. On the transverse, we were just talking this morning with some people that are, recognizing that there is a significant increase in overall price of all commercial vehicles. So what we're seeing is that the market as a whole is going up in price. Residual values are very tricky at the minute. It is very hard to predict that, where they're going to go. Electric vehicles in particular are hovering at around about the same prices as diesel vehicles. And given the much higher list price, that can be a challenge, of course, because the increase in the total cost of ownership. I guess we'll see that change, but there is a little bit more availability of electric vehicles in the new market. So look, the pricing market is a very tricky place to be at the moment, but even trickier, you must have the right vehicle for the job on your fleet, and therefore you have to invest. So it can be a little bit more expensive, but you've got to get the job done.
How are you finding it, Sam? Because obviously as Chief Vehicle Officer of GridServe, who offer salary sacrifice and leasing options, it's a challenge at the moment.
It is, but we're doing great guns. So the volumes of both of those things, salary sacrifice and leasing, just continues to go up month by month, as does the charging. So, the trajectory continues to be positive. I think residual values generally, as Paul said, are quite right, is challenging, but at the same time, we're in a completely embryonic stage, right? In this whole movement of second-hand vehicles and second-hand electric vehicles is only just really started. So I think we can expect to see quite a lot of volatility for quite some time, because that's natural economics in terms of the way in which things have to settle down, and the way pricing of charging, public charging, is settling down to a rate now, whereas it was all over the place for many years. So I think although there's still a lot of disparity, there is definitely a trend. And it'll take some time for that trend to start to manifest itself in the second-hand market. And the other thing about Tesla bringing their prices down and doing what they're doing is that it's working. That it's now the most popular selling vehicle in the world. It's not the Toyota Corolla off the top spot for the last 5 years. And I think I did a LinkedIn post recently and highlighted the quote from the executive vice president of sales at Toyota in America, who said the rhetoric around electric vehicles is way ahead out of consumer demand, which is just nonsense, because clearly on the basis that their top-selling vehicle has now been beaten, world's top-selling vehicle has been beaten by an EV, demonstrates that that's absolute nonsense. Statistically, that's nonsense. So everything's going in the right direction, but that's not to say we haven't got some volatility and some bumps in the road, excuse the pun, along the way.
Sam, I think you're absolutely right. The bumps in the road are coming, I think, in my personal opinion, due some way to the fact that we have not focused on the used vehicle market. The used vehicle market is just, everybody's just gone, right, let's sell new, sell lots of fleet vehicles, sell lots of this and that. And we've not thought for a second around how we educate. I know Phil Nottard, who's on the call, has been thinking about this from his day job. It is a new part of the education process, the used vehicle buyer, that are typically very, very led by consumer demand. And of course, it's a very difficult place to be. So we really have got some work to do in that second-hand market.
Yeah, I don't think it's the case of not thinking about it. It's just that now is the right time to think about it, because of the stage in the evolution of EVs and the amount of second-hand volume of stuff coming through. And, we've got the challenge of things like a huge swathe of Nissan Leafs and Renault Zoes that are coming through, which are perhaps a one generation legacy too far, but the other, the next slice of more modern vehicles coming through is all going to change the market. So I think now is the right time to start to get ahead around what the market's behavior is going to be over the next few years. Whereas 2 years ago probably would have been premature, because everything was new, because there wasn't anything old. So things have moved on a bit, and will continue to do so, I think, over the next couple of years.
And provide great value. I think Steve Hamer says that residuals have taken a big hit recently, and he's pointed a few people in the direction of the MG5, as likely used examples are not much more than 15k now, which makes them great value. There's a LinkedIn user who's commented that they heard that the Chinese Motor Show had zero petrol and diesel cars, all EV, which is quite remarkable when you think about it, how far we've come. And somebody, LinkedIn user, said, spot on, Sam. So does that mean you win?
Always.
Now then, let's move on. The Range Rover Velar will be relaunched as an electric vehicle as part of a wider overhaul of JLR's lineup. Production of the new Velar will take place at the car maker's Halewood plant, which is being reconfigured to produce cars based on an all-new EV platform. JLR expects to start production of the new Velar before 2025. Technical details of the new model are yet to be revealed, but JLR has said the platform will feature floor-mounted batteries, and this is important, Paul, 800-volt architecture, and the efficiency of 4 to 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour. The Evoque and Discovery Sport will also go into that same sort of configuration and similar performance. 2025 also sees the creation of a new four-door GT from Jaguar. Exciting times. 800-volt architecture, Paul, could you just touch on it and what that means?
It means that you while not being a technical expert, what I do know is that there is a difference between 400 and 800-volt architecture. The 800-volt architecture allows you to charge at a higher speed, and as long as you are plugged into a charger that will deliver under 800-volt supply, then you will be able to get that maximum speed. If it is however a 400 or 500-volt charger, then you will get a lower speed, probably about 2/3 speed.
Power. It's called power, not speed.
The speed of the transition from one to another, whatever you want to call it. It's how quickly the vehicle will charge. It's as simple as that. Let's not overcomplicate it.
Are we done?
Yeah.
I knew I was looking for trouble when I mentioned volts. Anyway, EV Bino says MG5 sounds like a really trendy 70s funk band. Now, there are 5 of us in the EV Cafe, so if we went with the EV5, that would be cool. What other names could we be, and what could MG5 stand for? My Goodness 5? Mighty Great 5? Oh, got my brain thinking now. Any road up? Sam, any thoughts?
No, just move on.
There are only 4 weeks left until the EV rally sets off to cover 5 capital cities in 5 days in electric vehicles, cars, vans, and this time, for the first time, trucks. We'll be travelling from Cardiff on the 3rd of July to London, Edinburgh, Belfast, finishing in Dublin on the 7th of July. Relevant to all participants is our next story about a major investment in Northern Ireland's charging network. Electric charge point operator Weave has received £50 million from Octopus Investments, part of the Octopus Group, to help address the shortage of electric vehicle charging infrastructure in Northern Ireland. The region had only 20 public charge points per 100,000 people, substantially lower than the UK average of 60 public charge points per 100,000 people, according to Department for Transport figures. And Weave was set up by Dominic Kearns and Thomas O'Hagan in 2022 to create Northern Ireland's largest privately operated EV charging network. The company installs public chargers and end-to-end EV solutions for workplace and fleet. We can't wait to get fired into the rally and to give Weave a try. The rally is the highlight of my professional year, and Sarah and I will be covering the event, and Paul and Sam will both be there. No, fact. I love everything that I do with you guys, but the opportunity to spend a week with people who are determined to show that EVs are not the challenge that people think they are, and that they are absolutely right for everyday life, and you can do 1,000, 200, 300, 400 miles in a week, no bother at all, with charging. We'll all set out and we'll all get there. Paul, what are you looking forward to on the EV rally?
I must admit, I am looking forward to seeing a truck go around. I think there will be a lot of learning for truck operators and but also for infrastructure providers to give some insight into what is needed for commercial vehicles. Obviously, the growth of commercial vehicles in electric is a significant option. I'm driving for Maxus as always. I'm hoping that maybe they'll get their brand new mid-size van there, but I'm not sure that we'll make it with that. But certainly we'll see the pickup do around the UK tour, or UK and Ireland, and also other large vans. So really, really cool.
And Sam, what about you? I understand Little Bird tells me that you're not driving a Twizy this year, but you may have something else.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be driving a Q8 e-tron this year. I did have a couple of other options, but the next year's rally, watch this space, because I've got something a bit special. But nevertheless, there's nothing not special about the Q8 e-tron either, the new Sportback version. So that'll be useful to understand and see. It's an interesting vehicle in terms of its charging power capabilities and charging curves. So I'm quite curious to give that a proper run around the country. Also, I'd just like to take a nod to Steve Hamer as well for his comment on LinkedIn about current and amps. Steve, I've avoided that on purpose because I'm going to nail Paul on that, and in the next EV Cafe. So watch this space. And then the other thing I was going to mention, John, on your piece about Belfast and Northern Ireland is a word of caution on the statistics that come out from DFT about 20 public charge points per 100,000 people relative to 60 in the UK, because we've got to make sure it's right charges, right place, right time. So that proportion doesn't necessarily correlate. And by that I mean 60 charges per 100,000 people. That could be 59 AC charges of zero relevance and one high power charger, right? So we've got to make sure that what does that 60 per 100 or 20 per 100,000 actually mean in terms of the type of charging which suits the area. And Belfast is very, very different, or Northern Ireland's a different landscape to Wales, a different landscape to London. So we've got to make sure that those numbers have a narrative that goes behind it to make sure we've got the right charges in the right place at the right time, not just numbers, because they can always be misconstrued.
You're absolutely correct, Sam. However, you're 3 times more likely to find the right charger, right place, right time when you have 60 per 100,000 than you are 20 per 100,000. So whilst I accept your premise that the right charger, right place, right time is absolutely bang on, you stand a better chance of getting a charge in the UK. And we know that Northern Ireland and ERA itself is going to be interesting times for us. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's get on the ground and see what it's like, because that's the thing. We're getting out there to drive the jive and make sure that EVs truly can go wherever you want them to. Are we done, chaps?
Well, just one more point on that, John, if I may, and you're absolutely right as well. So we're both right, and that's fine. But the one benefit that Northern Ireland will have is they won't have so much legacy as we've got in this country in terms of the stuff we've already put in 20 years ago. So 20 charges per 100 of modern, positive, powerful, right place type stuff could be as good as 60 per 100,000 over here because we've got legacy inevitably. So
he's right. No, he's good. He is good, Paul.
I was just going to say, in answer to this person, forget Ike. There we go. Yeah, yes. Hopefully in brackets. Ike, thank you so much. I believe the MIFA will be there, but I cannot be certain at this point. But I do expect it to be there. It will be a great vehicle to spend some time in. It is luxury on a quite a scale. I'm not sure about converting it to a camper van though. But anyway, there we go.
Now then, before we go, I'm just going to read through my usual ending to the show. Can I ask you to make a suggestion? Sam has alluded to, and Sam Poshboy has alluded to the fact that he may be driving something even more special next year than he is this year. Could you have a little guess in the comments as to what that might be? If you have any clean transport, PR or news stories you'd like us to cover, please send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. And our first story today about EcoBat was exactly that. Somebody sent that story in to us. So please get your PR stories into us so that we can cover them. Until next Friday, it's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from them too. This has been an EV Cafe production brought to you this week by Geotab, helping you make more informed fleet decisions. Other sustainability news services are available, but this is just fodder. Thank you, Sam. The EV Cafe is truly blessed to be partnered with My Energy, Geotab, EV Civil Solutions, the AA, Churchill Insurance, Plug Me In, Spiri, Hydrock, Interval, Karsha UK, and McIntyre Hudson. We are the EV Cafe, supporting the transition to clean transport. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm off to put on some more Factor 50 and oil myself up. Wherever the weekend takes you, stay safe, stay well, and be clean. Until next Friday, bye-bye.
See you, everybody. Oil myself up.